and welcome to our next interview chat as part of Precious.Collective Online Jewellery Week 2021. And as for Mixed Materials, we've had some wonderful chats and interviews today. Last one, I believe, was Rachel Butlin, which was lovely, caught part of it on the school run. And I now have the absolute pleasure to invite Lorena Lazard to join us. Is she here? Let me just check for you. All the way over from Mexico, hopefully, about her work presented as part of the Mixed Materials exhibition this year. Lorena, are you there?
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me here and to be part of the exhibition.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Like, was it 10 o'clock for you, 11 o'clock?
It is 10 o'clock here.
Yeah, cool. I was checking. I'm not that good. I don't know time zones around the world. I was checking the online.
It's perfect time for me. It's just in the morning, so it's perfect.
Wonderful. How are you today? How's your day starting?
I'm happy. I'm very excited to be here. I'm just really, really happy to be part of this wonderful exhibition online.
Well, it's only a wonderful exhibition because of the artists involved in it. So really, and I've really enjoyed discovering your work. Because I'll be honest, before we started working on this Jewellery Week, I wasn't as familiar with the work that you've been making. And I have to say, it made me feel something really powerful in my gut, something really strong and almost empowering. I've really enjoyed it, and I'd really love to hear more from you about your process of creating this work and the materials that you use and why you use those materials as well.
Yeah. Well, the first time I used soil on a jewelry piece is a piece I made with soil from my father's grave. That was the very first time I used soil. And obviously it was connected to a very deep and sad and hard moment. So at that time, soil for me, it implied more meanings of death and despair. I associated soil with especially those kinds of feelings. But after many, many years, I start thinking that soil obviously also, it means roots, it means memento, it means memory, it also means rebirth. And I wanted to start looking at soil from different points of view. And obviously it has a lot of symbolism, it has a lot of meanings, a lot of emotions, and as I said, you can identify with soil from so many different parts. And also another part I like very much about soil is like a metaphor, like we humans were made out of soil, no? Using that metaphor, all the power that soil has. And I have here, actually, I don't know if I can show it. The first
have you got one there? Because I think it must be something when you see the piece in the flesh, that kind of connection.
Let me turn it. This is the first piece, the one I made with the soil of my father's grave. So it's not a jeweler, it's just an object. But this is the very first one I made.
That's lovely, though. To kind of, I mean, I suppose that's the role of the artist, and that's what we are. Although we are jewelers, we're making art for the body. The role of the artist is to kind of look around you and see what can be, as opposed to what can't be, and then those kind of connections to soil. So, do you go around collecting soil now? Are you?
Yes, I do. I use a lot of soil from my own garden. But every time I go to a place, I collect soil. And it's always because people have brought me soil from different places because it's a nice color, it's a different color, it's a different texture. And I'm really not very interested in that type of connection with the soil. It has to be a personal connection. So for me, every time I go somewhere, I collect the soil, and that soil represents a memory or something that I lived there, or a connection or a root And yes, so I have in my house, I don't have them here to show you, but have all these little bottles with soils, and it says the name and where I collect them from and what date I had them. So yeah, I have soils from all over the world.
So if your emotional connection to your pieces is so strong with collecting something like soil that has such a kind of a gut vibe for you, it must be really hard to let go of them. So once you've created something, it must to either give it or to put it in an exhibition or something, because it's such a strong part of you.
Yeah, I think at the beginning it was harder. Like, hi baby.
This is proof that it's live and off the cuff.
That's fine.
Sorry.
I think at the beginning it was harder because of this reason. I have some pieces that I wouldn't like to leave, to let go, especially because of this. But I think that as the time passes, I'm much more open to know that these things that I'm doing can be shared with others.
Well, yeah, it's so I've just just as we're going through that again, proof that like when you're doing things from home, it's that bit trickier. It's kids asking for food and it's not tea time yet. But yeah, so you're saying that you have to really encourage yourself to learn to let go of these things and realize that you're making not just for yourself.
Yes. I wanted to show you also some pieces that I made. These were also some strong pieces.
Please do. Yeah, please do.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. This is a piece I made. It was on Schmuck 2017. It's made out of soil. And what I thought very interesting about this piece is that one of them is made out of soil from Mexico and the other one is made out of soil from the US, just from the border. I took them, they're apart like 5 kilometers, one from another. So actually you can think that it's exactly the same soil, but in terms of the material, but in terms of the value, of the perception, of how we understand it. Obviously, the soil from the United States compared to the soil from Mexico is absolutely different. So I think that was what I say, that all the symbolism and all the implications of the soil that goes beyond just the material. So I think it's a good example of it.
Oh, hello?
Can you hear me?
I can. I'm going to have to move into my workshop. Forgive me for just a minute while I go and away from screaming children and lack of a power source. So I hope this doesn't connect for the interruption. Can you hear me?
Now I can. I was losing you a little bit before. Now it's perfect. So yeah, now I can hear you.
Sorry, I'm so sorry to everyone. Lorena specifically, I'm so sorry for this interruption. But so we were talking about the piece that had the mixed soils and the fact that there's a completely different feeling from one part to the other part, and it's just, again, the thing that I'm starting to understand from talking to so many wonderful makers is how the process and the making is such the personal thing, and then when you're forced to let go of it, to let your audience take over, then it's that's when it kind of creates that new life. But then you always have that kind of that connection to it yourself.
Yeah, I think that today for me, working with soul has more to do with a spiritual matter, in the sense that you can see soil as all the possibilities of growth, of life, of the beginning, of rebirth, of resilience. So now when I work with soil and I think I'm gonna sell this piece or give it to someone, it's like sharing more this aspect of the soil. I think more the light of the soil.
Okay, yeah, that I can get as well. But so do you name the pieces when you give them names? Is that to do with where the soil has come from, or your connection to the soil, or is it?
I never put the name of the place where I get them.
No.
I more put the name of the memory or my intentions or the symbolism that I'm working with at that time.
Because with your most recent pieces, I'm trying to remember what the name was. I wrote it down and I've left my paper in the house, and I don't want to move.
The ones you have, they're called Revealing Light.
Yeah.
So it has to do more with what I explained. It has to do more with trying to find light in a very obscure place. And soil can be a very material, very obscure, very dark place.
Yeah.
So how can you find light in these areas that are very dark? So it has to do more with that. And let me show you if you want. Here are some of the pieces that I...
Oh, lovely. Yes, please. Thank you.
This is one of them. And I like the back of it is tumbaga, because I wanted that the front wasn't shiny. For me, it was very important that the light, it's something that you have to look for it. It's not obvious. It's not there. It's something that you have to work for it. So it was very important that the front was without a metal that was very bright, for example.
Yeah.
But the back part, once you have already looked for it, it's very shiny.
It's nice that, yeah. But they're nice. They're nice juxtaposition with the two materials. It works really well.
Yeah, I was wearing it, but I don't think you can see it on camera, so I'll just show it like this.
Yeah,
this is the other one. Let me go ahead and show it. This is the other one.
One of the materials you put in there is tumbaga.
Tumbaga is this. This is tumbaga.
So that's metal.
Yeah, it's a tumbaga. Originally was a pre-Hispanic metal that used gold when they used to it. Today, of course, it has nothing of gold. It looks a little bit like bronze or like, it looks a little bit like bronze. It's a little bit more yellow, but it's a metal. It's tumbaga. So that's why it's on the back. So it
because I've not heard of it before, so it's wonderful to see it and to know. So is it quite a popular material to use in Mexico?
Yeah. And this is the front, which is soil from my garden. And if you can see here, it has a little bit of goldenish. It's just pigment that I used also to give just a little touch of gold.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. So this is another of those series. And here's another one. This is a smaller one. And also on the back, it has the tumbaga.
Oh, lovely.
Which is very shiny. I like it. It looks a little bit like gold, but of course it's not gold.
But it's nice having that little secret while you're wearing it, that you know that it's got that.
Exactly, because from the front you have no idea what's going on the back.
It's kind of quite one of those things, isn't it? The importance of the back of the piece as much as the front, and also, so for you, does the process, presumably if you've got that emotional connection to your primary material, does the process take quite a long time for you to go from an idea to a finished product, or I say finished product, like a finished piece?
Yeah, I don't think it takes so much. It takes more time for the idea to really develop. I think that's the time that it takes more for me. And once I know what I want, I never sketch. I don't do sketches. I don't know very well what can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. I'll wait.
Yeah, I'm so
Hi.
sorry
Yeah,
about
I think you lost me or I lost you.
that.
No, don't
So please
worry.
carry on. It interrupted you just as you were mid-flow. So you're saying the longest
Yeah,
process, you
no,
don't sketch?
no, I never sketch. I try to just flow to see how things are moving. But I do have the idea, the concept. I think I have it. That's what it takes for me longer. And then I just start working, and things can change a lot from what I thought they were going to be at the beginning.
So it's an evolving process then. So it's
Yeah,
hard for you to kind of really know how long you've spent on something because it's just flowing. And
yeah.
so you'll be working on more than one piece at a time, or do you stay
Never,
focused in? No.
never, ever, ever. And I'm always very um, amazed of the people who can have 2, 3, 4, 5 things at the same time. I cannot begin a piece with if I don't finish the other one. I can't.
Gosh.
So I have
So
to
how
finish it completely, and then I start this next one.
so how do you know when something's finished? For you, what's the finishing point? Is it a feeling
Uh,
inside? Is it
yeah, that's an issue. That's
yeah,
obviously an issue.
yeah,
You never know. I think when it's completely finished, maybe it's never finished.
yeah,
Maybe it's really never finished. So, but there's a time when you feel I cannot do anything more. I need to just leave it,
yeah.
and then I finish it, and then I can start the next one. But I'm very, 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 very. As I said before, every time I see someone that works 4, 5, 6 pieces at a time, it's for me it's very strange.
Wow. Yeah, it's just really interesting seeing all of those kind of different ways of making. I don't know. I suppose with what I'm doing, I wouldn't know how to not be doing more than one thing at a time. But you know,
Yeah,
again, I can imagine. I can imagine with the materials you're working with as well. If you start mixing things and contaminating the soils, then that it takes away the visceral, the emotional kind of connection to the material.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a point that I didn't think about. But yeah, it can
Oh,
be.
well, there you go.
It's true.
You can have that one.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Oh gosh. So, but like I'm just thinking now. So when you finish, I think a common struggle with some artists is that motivation to start on the next piece, because you'll have like the ideas or the materials for you particularly.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard to start with a new piece or a new project, or does that come quite naturally?
I find it hard when when I think that my body of work has finished and I'm going to start a new body of work. That is what that at that moment I have trouble. It takes a
Yeah.
long time. But once I'm already clear in what's the body of work and what's my concept and what I want to do, I can go from one piece to another kind of easy. But every time I change the body of work, I have to stop at least a couple of weeks to
Yeah.
I don't know, to let it rest and then start something new.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is quite stressful, that bit in between, isn't it? It's
It is like, it is like, because one thing that maybe is never coming again, inspiration, and maybe you will never know what to do. And I have all those feelings and thoughts. Yes, it's very stressful.
yeah, in between projects, it's the timing is the worst. My husband always says it's the end of a project when I get really busy, and I say no, it's the bit in between.
Yes.
So,
You know what helps? You know what helps me a lot? Doing special projects for commissions or for special shows or things that I have to do that someone else tells me.
yeah,
You know, maybe the concept or the idea that helps me start moving a little bit again. That has helped me a lot.
yeah. So kind of like dragging you along the way.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I've got more of a tailored question here for you, and that's what does precious to you? Obviously, I'm getting a really good understanding of this from your description of the materials that you work with, as well as your concepts, your emotional connection to not just your practice but the physical pieces.
Yeah.
But what does precious mean to you? How do you feel about the term precious with your work? Or
Yeah, I think, well, in general, not only in my work, I would say that precious is something that has a special value.
mm,
but it's so personal that I couldn't say this is precious for everyone.
Yeah.
It's very subjective. It's extremely subjective. And it has to do with your own values, with your own history, with your own memories. So I couldn't say what is precious and what is not in general for everyone. No, I think it's very extremely sensitive, and depending on each person, in individual, what is precious for me. But I understand precious of something that has a value.
Well, I think you're very right with that, with it being such a subjective thing, and yeah, and I think you very clearly stated, and also your work very clearly shows what is precious to you, and you know that the connection to what is natural, and to you know the simpler things around us, and making them become precious, or to be seen in a precious way by others.
Yeah, and in that sense, when I talk about light, really light, it's exactly what I'm saying. How can we find light in the very quotidian, in things that we don't think that have light? That's very precious, for example, for me.
Yeah, totally. I can agree with you on that one as well. But I'm feeling like I could talk to you all, well, for you all morning, for me all evening,
all morning.
but also kind of aware of like time sensitive of things. But I would like to ask you before you go, if there's anything that you're currently working, or any projects, any exhibitions. I'm aware that you teach as well, so that probably occupies a lot of your time.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to leave us with kind of what you're working on next, and any kind of final thoughts or words for our audiences.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as you said, I teach also, so I split my time in teaching and working. I'm currently doing a new body of work that's called Vessels, Vasijas. And
yeah.
Actually, one of the pieces is in Joya 2021. So this is a new body of work that I'm very excited. And I want to talk about, again, the idea of light, of how we can open ourselves to receiving light and become ourselves like vessels. So maybe I'm going to start to move a little bit out of the soil. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm very interested with this idea of how we humans are open to grow and to become better persons, and to receive more light from the universe, from God, from whatever you believe on, whatever it's out there. How can we open ourselves to get that light and to share it? So that's the new project that I'm in.
That's really uplifting, and I'm really excited to see, first of all, the piece in Joya this year, and also the progression of it and where it goes towards. And I really hope that we'll have an opportunity to meet properly, and I'll get a chance to hold and touch your pieces, because they do really would love to feel them.
That would be so lovely. That would be wonderful. I would love that. Definitely.
Well, Lorena, thank you so much for being so generous with your time and your knowledge and your pieces and your work. And thank you so much for applying for Mixed Materials and exhibiting with us, because it's really is a pleasure to show your work.
Thank you so very much for everything. I really want to congratulate you. You're doing a super work, and really important to our field. So I think really for you, this is wonderful for what you're doing.
It's a team effort. We've all worked very hard all together, and also working with you guys, the artists that we're showing. I think it really is. It's not just I can never think what we call ourselves. Yeah, the curators, but also the artists having worked so closely together. It really is a pleasure to be able to work this way, and I've found it incredibly refreshing. So well, thank you for being so game.
Hopefully soon we can hug and be together and talk in person.
Oh, I really hope so, inshallah. Thank you so much, Lorena. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you everyone for joining us. And don't forget to miss the show this evening that starts at 6 p.m. UK time. Try and work it out from your time zone. Everyone will be different. Unfortunately, I won't reel off all of them. But 6 p.m. tonight, the Mixed Materials live event will be on the YouTube links, which are on our website. Lorena, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
and we'll see each other soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye. Go and feed that baby.
Yes, I will. So she needs some dinner.
Bye. Mommy. Mommy.